What's up, guys? I'm back very quickly again with more My Team action. This week we've got Spain happening. So this is a track that I have raced many times before. This will be my first time doing it with no assists and no racing lines. So a bit of a learning curve, but I found that prepping for this race was not very hard at all just because I know this track so well. I've raced it so many times. And honestly, the biggest differences were just some of the updates that have been made in F122, just getting used to those. Like I found the S section at the very end of the track to be a little tough to get used to. On the other hand, I found this curve that's coming up right here. This seems a little different than it used to be on the game. I seem to remember they laser scanned Spain, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not positive about that. This curve, I think, was a little easier on this game. And so it was honestly not that difficult to get accustomed and just get going on this track with no racing line, no assists. But I think the hardest part for me was really picking up some pace. And honestly, I don't feel like I really found the pace until this last lap of qualifying. I did the 3 practice sessions before and did the practice programs, and I actually put in a lot more actual practice in the practice sessions than I usually do. And I found that I was off the pace quite a bit and was struggling getting the AI to the correct level. Ultimately, I ended up putting the AI one click below, I think, where I had it last race, which I thought was a little too hard. And now it felt about right, one click short. I don't know. Maybe I could go back up one more. I'm not positive. We'll see. But you may have seen right there, I got my first pole in this series, in this F122 series, which is great. It's exciting, and you may not be able to tell yet, but we've actually got a new livery for this race. And actually, I think I'm going to put it in the thumbnail, so you should see it. You probably will already know about it, but you haven't actually seen it on track. You've just seen it from the cockpit view. But I think it looks really good. I really like it, and I'm hopeful that it can power us to our best result yet. I got a P2 in our second race of the season, and I was well off Verstappen. I was not close at all, so you can see a glimpse of the new livery right there, but not super well. I was just so far, I think it was Verstappen. I was so far off Verstappen that I was never going to get it done. You see there, fuel load, 73 laps. We got 66 laps in the race, and we go into the broadcast formation lap, which I've actually kind of really liked. I think it looks really cool. And it doesn't let me warm up my tires, but I would rather it look cool. And then me hopefully get a little bit of a challenge as I have to heat up the tires and get back to where I'm supposed to be. Because I've had bad starts so far this season. It doesn't look great there because it's overcast, but I do think the livery looks good. Also, additional note, I've turned on to simulation damage starting with this race. It was on standard. And you saw me make contact with a couple of different guys during the race last week. And frankly, I turned it on in hopes of maybe getting a safety car at some point because I've yet to see a safety car in this season. It's on standard. Maybe I should put it on increased if I really want it to happen. And I'm tempted to do that, honestly. But I might try a race or two on increased safety cars because at the moment, I've yet to get a safety car. We've only had, I guess, mechanical DNFs by myself and by other drivers, so it's not like there's been a collision on track that's resulted in a DNF that would maybe make you have a safety car, and I'd like that. I mean, I think it's part of having cool races here, so I'd like to have it. You saw me get a terrible start. You see me there go way deep and almost destroy Verstappen and Norris. I was lucky enough to stay safe and stay alive. Almost opened the door for Leclerc there. Norris got back past with ease, and I just sort of settled in behind him a little bit and said, okay, well, I'm going to have a go at some point soon. And that some point soon ended up being lap 4 here. It looks like I've got it going down the inside there, and I managed to get it done, and Norris stays out and doesn't make contact with me. And I got the move done. So fast forward to lap 5 here, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get the same done on Verstappen in the same place. And I did find that this is pretty much probably the only place that I could overtake guys. I just had to get a really nice entry into this turn and then just hammer the ERS, and that was the only way that I was gonna actually make anything stick. I tried a couple times into turn one, but I just found that the AI gets an insane exit out of the very last corner, and I just couldn't catch them on the pit straight. So, and I can't remember. I think maybe there were a couple times when I have a bit of a look down the inside at turn one, but if you've been watching my channel for a while, you will remember there was an incident. I was doing 100% career in F1 2021, and there was an incident where I went down the inside of George Russell on turn one, and he just clobbered me and knocked me off the track. And so I learned my lesson a bit about screaming down the inside of turn one against the AI. But there's George Russell going into the pits, so hopefully that won't happen at turn one right here. But you also may have seen that Lando Norris retired from the race, and I can't imagine that had anything to do with me. You see me showing my tire wear there. I'm around 20 to 22% on the mediums after about 18 laps. Latifi trying to get in my way again, just threw me a little bit off my game, and I went a little bit too deep. And it's just more of the same. I'm not showing you every single little time that I had a look at signs, but from the moment that I got into P2, I was constantly putting pressure on Carlos Sainz, but I just couldn't pass him. He was just too fast, and it was actually really good battling with him. Went way deep there. You see me lock up, and I just missed my breaking point there because I was busy fighting with him, which was stupid. But it was so tough for me to get past Sainz, and he's on mediums just like I am. So you would think that I have a better car than he does, but I think that probably speaks to the AI being around the right level. Maybe it needs to be up one more point. But I just could not get past him. And you see me actually here, I'm kind of thinking about going down the inside there, but that's just suicide. He would not, I guarantee he would not yield for that. And I wouldn't yield for that either. So, but the AI seems to be sticking up for itself a little more. If you watch the last video, I was talking about that a bit, but historically the AI will kind of let you bully a little bit more, but I have found, I think in F1 22 that they don't let you bully them a lot. And I had another look there and just decided it was not the smartest play. Backed out, had a bit of a lockup. Still could have made impact if the lockup had been a bit worse, but it wasn't. It was fine. So on to lap 34 here, and I think we're about to the point where I'm going to pit. Again, I had a look down the inside of him. Just it wasn't going to happen. And I think lap 37, this feels about right. I think this is where I pitted, and it's about that time. And frankly, I was surprised that Sainz hasn't pitted yet. I decided my pit window, I think, was like 34 to 37 or 35 to 37, and I said I'm just going to go opposite of Sainz. He didn't pit on 37, so I pitted. You see me get out of the pits, not good. I waited way too long to turn off the pit limiter and hit the gas. I don't know what happened. I was just maybe a little bit out of it. Wasn't really thinking correctly, but it just sort of surprised me a little bit, and I was in trouble. But you see me come out of the pits, P3. Russell is about 3.5 seconds behind me. Hamilton is 16 seconds ahead. Sainz is 28 seconds ahead, but both of those guys still have to pit. And I was hoping to just really massively undercut Sainz here. I'm going to go onto the softs, and I kind of had some screaming laps here. And I think I would have gotten a fast lap if it wasn't broken. You can see that it says that my best lap is 27.486, which is not true. That's obviously not true. That's like a sector time. That's not a lap time. And and you may have seen in Miami in the last race, after the race, you look at the results, and it has messed up best lap times there as well. So I don't know what's happening there. It's got to be a Codemasters issue, but I feel like I was robbed of 1 point because when I went onto these softs, bro, I was going very fast. And I ended up coming out behind Sainz, or Sainz came out ahead of me, I should say, but he is on the hards, and I should have anticipated that. But the AI loves to do suboptimal strategies. I didn't think soft to medium was even remotely difficult in this race. I thought it was, or medium to soft, I did not think was even remotely difficult in this race. I wasn't worried about tire wear at all, but what you may be seeing, and may be familiar to you if you've been subbed to this channel for a while, is we are running out of fuel. And I overfueled by about 7 laps. I thought that was good. I used the recommended amount based on the race strategy that I was doing, which was, ended up being like 73.2 laps, and it was not enough at all. So I hit about neutral on fuel around lap 50 or 51 or something. Lap 52 here, I am 0.1 laps down, and at this point I have decided there is no way that I win this race. I mean, if I had correctly fueled up, I would have won this race. I should have won this race. But as it stands right now, I am running out of fuel. I am lifting and coasting every single opportunity I get, and it is just not enough to reclaim the fuel. So Sainz builds up an 11-second lead on me. Russell, Verstappen, and Leclerc are all so very close behind me. And at one point I was thinking, okay, well, I can still get P2. I need to lift and coast, and Sainz is going to get by, but I can still get P2. But it is very quickly becoming apparent that that's not going to happen. I just started my last lap of the race. I am out of fuel. I am in low fuel mode, which is set to hard, and I'm in serious, serious trouble. Okay, so for the rest of this lap, I'm going to be heavily handicapped, and I'm now in P5. P6, I think Hamilton is guaranteed to pass me at some point on this lap. My only hope is that I can stay in P6 and not get passed by Oscar Piastri, my teammate. And this is a miserable feeling. And it was much the same as Bahrain that we did in the first race, where I just didn't do any fuel testing, and it was really unfortunate. But I ran out of fuel in the last lap and had much the same experience as this. But honestly, it's kind of dumb, because I thought that I was going to be completely fine on fuel in this race, and it really clearly was not fine, and that's unfortunate, right? I thought I had way overfueled, and I didn't, in fact, way overfuel. I way underfueled. So this is a race that I should have won. Got unlapped by Ocon there, which is not ever a good feeling, but this is a race that I should have won. Threw it away with poor fuel management, which is not the first time I've done that this season. I thought that this was going to be a race where I put on the new livery and I got my best result of the season. I thought it was going to be a win, and ultimately I couldn't convert. I threw it away, and it's a shame, because I think that this was a really good race. I really built on what I did the last race, and I really felt like I found a lot of pace, and admittedly the AI is... I'm not Jarno Wattmere. I mean, this is not 110 AI. I think I'm hovering around like 60 AI, which I think is appropriate for where I am currently skill-wise. But it was, I think, going to be my best race that I've had in a while. And so it's just kind of a bummer that it didn't really work out like that. But I think, hopefully learned my lesson about fuel. I am going to go with the default fuel setting from now on. And if that means I'm carrying around a little extra fuel at the end of the race, then so be it. I don't ever want to be in this situation again, where I run out of gas on the last lap and just throw away a win for absolutely no reason. But I did go up in the driver's standings, so that's nice. We're going to have a lot of work to do to catch Leclerc, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll be back.